It's a good morning here, and I hope it's also a good day over there. Welcome to the-Brizy, and we are looking at the Brizy Builder, and in this video, we'll be looking at the timeline element. Now, the timeline element, and let's just quickly have an idea of where it fits in, is available in both the Cloud and WordPress plugin builder. So you can get it in the builder for both the Cloud and WordPress, not available and free. I'm JP, let's rock and roll and get into what the timeline is all about. Let's bring in a new block, add a blank block, and then if you go here to the sidebar, add elements, click on it and scroll down. Of course, if you are working with free, which I mentioned, this isn't a free element, you will see that these guys do not appear. But if you have Pro, you will see timeline is over here. Let's click and drag and I'll say a few things about the timeline. Now, I've been a big timeline user in other page builders when they first came out. This is about 2 or 3 years ago, and you got various elements. And they are really spectacular to use and make a good impression on your site. But as mobile became more popular, I found that many of the timeline elements do not really work as well as they should on a mobile display on your cell phone. So I would highly caution you that when you throw in a timeline element, don't go out of your way to make this thing look like New Year. Make sure that you go and check every now and again on tablet and on mobile whether it actually works on those devices. And if they don't, rather scrap it than continue with it. It's just one of those little things that you have to take into consideration. So let's play with this timeline element, and it's really an amazing little element that Brizy has given, and it's available in both this horizontal view as well as in the vertical view. Now, many of these Pro elements actually have 2 setting areas. So you will see as I hover over it, you see the little bounding box go around it. This is what you usually don't find in most of the free elements. There's a lot of settings often hidden over here. But in this case, you will see it's only the more settings and then duplicate and delete. So we don't have to work with the bounding box. Let's go and just work from the top and see what is what. So I will say, let's say we're going to make a timeline of steps. You can make it by dates. Let's go for a date. And we say we are working with a company and we want to show the company's history. This is where I've used it many times before. If you're working with a corporate website, you go to About Us page and you want to give a little bit of their history. Let's say they started in 1975, and then let's say in 1982 they were enlisted, and then you're going to add a few more here. So over here, you just saw what I did. You click on the label, you change it, and then you have full control over the typography here. So if I want to make this bigger and I click on 16 and I increase it, let's go up, you'll see it does that for both, which is really good because you don't have to go then and style them separately. Same here for the color. Let's say we put it on this pink, both of them. So far, so good. So this is the label up here, and you can do anything you want with this label. You can type in there, well, you know, like I said, step 1 or lesson 1, and then maybe do something like that. Let's change that. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to call it lesson 1, and a little limitation runs in here. Right, so this is a limitation because it seems there is a maximum amount of space that you can add up here. Okay, it still needs to come a little bit smaller. And I think there is still a lot of room for improvement and add-ons to this element. But for now, you'll have to take those things into consideration. So this one we're going to call lesson 2. Let's now jump down to where the icon is. And when you click on the icon, this is so much more than just the icon settings. You're going to get all the settings over here that will work on this timeline. On the left, like usual, in the toolbar, most of the settings connected to this timeline is over here. But you usually have to also go and check your settings, and you will see here you will have the width. So width, what is width at 350 pixels? Let's increase it, and that is the container width of where your content is going to go within this timeline content area. So I can increase it and I can make it smaller like that. And why on earth would you want to make it bigger or smaller? Now, currently, if I have it like this, let's put it here. Let's just type in the 200 pixels. So the container width for the timeline container is now at 200 pixels. So you can see that button barely fits in there. And now you've got all this real estate over here. Nothing is happening there. Click again here, and then you will see the duplicate. If I click on duplicate, it added a third one. Now we've got a scroll bar here at the bottom, which gives me that third one. And this is not the most convenient, but it is okay, and we'll talk about that soon. Go back to this, and now let's activate our timeline element over here. Immediately, I want you to forget all of this and go to the columns so we can talk about that width feature first. You see columns here currently at 2. If I drag it now to 3, it will bring in that third one. So if I go and duplicate and add a fourth one, I go back here, and I would say bring in the columns. Now I can have 4. Now I actually think that this width setting should be over here. So as I drag the columns, I can also drag the width. I think this is something that maybe suggests to bring the width and put it under these timeline features. So if we go here to the width and I increase it now, you see I can just squeeze those guys in there so that they fit very nicely into this timeline. On the other hand, remember, you don't have to always squeeze it in and be perfect. If I want to duplicate 5 and 6 and 7, I have altogether 7 lessons. There's no reason why you shouldn't have a scroll bar in there. At this point, I already want to tell you, let's go and see how this very, very basic thing will look on tablet. Go to our responsive view tablet, and now you see here, you're going to have them overlap. Let's see if we can change the width. And you can. So you can make changes to that. And then if we go down to mobile, same thing. Go here, settings, and you can make all changes there as well. But you can see immediately that now we have got very little space here for these little guys. Any content in there is going to be highly squashed. So you should rather go to the timeline and decrease your columns for the mobile responsiveness and keep your width the same. So we have the width. Let's go back to the desktop quickly. Yeah, now you can see that the width remains and you can have it like that. Jump back to desktop, and I'm going to delete these last 7 that we've entered. And how do we delete that? Click on the icon, delete. Next icon, delete. And then this one, delete. And we should be left only with the 4 that I'd started with. So if I type in there, let's quickly make this one lesson 2. And I make this one lesson 3 and lesson 4. Click on the icon. And let's have a look at all the settings over here, timeline. Now, the first one is going to give you vertical versus horizontal. Let's stick to horizontal for this moment so we don't get lost in all the confusion. Then you have 3 styles. You have your timeline at the top or timeline at the bottom. Or you can stagger them like this. Pretty nice, I think, actually. While we are here, let me see if I increase the width. Oh, okay, right. That's not a bad one. Then you can increase the width for that. I'm going to put it back on the default. Then you have the option to deactivate the title. So you only have the timeline and you have the columns here. The spacing is the space between the timeline content and the icon. Right, so you can add more space there. And this is all to do with the settings of the timeline. Let's have a look then at the icon settings over here. You can change the icon. So if we are talking about lessons, let's say lesson. I wonder if they give us something. Study. Let me see. Study. Okay, we can have study. And it will give us that. Oh, you say, what now? It only changed that one. So do I need to go and do them separately now? And actually, let me show you something else as well. Let's say you want to have like a format here for your lesson. You want to have this on the left, and then you want to have a video under that so that people can click on the video and watch the lesson. So now you have to do it for each and all of them. And that's why, like many of the features within Brizy, you have to think first and then copy. So what we're basically going to do is click on all of these little dudes. We're going to tell them adios, and then we style one until we are extremely happy with it. So if we have an icon over here, let's also change this icon. That's just a normal icon. That's nothing special. Nothing special. Let's just do an arrow, something weird. Change the color. And then we have the video over here, and we can even bring in a button. Add the button there at the bottom. And let's make it large and like this. Change the color of the button. No, I want the background white. Text and text again. And then border. And I'm not going to worry about the hover. Okay. And now, after we've created this very bad looking little timeline element over here, now you go and duplicate it. So if you click here and you duplicate, you will see now we have nice clones going on over there. And then you go and change the labels. So these are the things that you have to get used to for this timeline element. Set up one, copy it, and then change your content for all of them. Let's have a look still at what else is going on here. Remember, if you want to access all the settings, click on the icon here, and then you go here. So we looked at the icon. You can change the size of those icons, make them smaller, and then you also have control over the background. And this background will be for the icon. Now you have the option to make it square or circular, or you have custom here for the corners. I just wish one thing, and that was that I could completely remove the border. Currently, I don't see a function for that. I can increase it, I can decrease it, but I cannot completely remove it. So let's just do that. Okay, square. Now it doesn't do the square. Let me see. Okay. Right. So let's leave it on the circular one. And this is everything you can do within the settings for this. So we looked at the orientation. Your style, you can have it at the top, at the bottom, you can stagger it, and then you can also deactivate the lessons there. So if you don't want to have lesson there, you can put the lesson here or the dates there, and then you can choose how many columns. If I want to go for 3 columns, then you just have to scroll, and the scroll will also work on your tablet, and it will also work on your mobile. And you have full control over how many you want to have on tablet and desktop. They are full responsive. Let's go back to our settings, put it on 4. And then the spacing here is the space between your timeline and the content. Let's have a look at the colors just to see what we can do here. And again, we're going to have the same problem. Your colors will not apply automatically to the rest. So as I'm going to change color here to the background, you will see it only changes to this one, not the rest. So all of these, you can have your styling for background, icon, border, shadow, and the line as well. But you have to do it to the first one, and then you duplicate it for the rest. Click outside. I'm going to undo, Control-Command-Z, just to keep everything looking nice and fancier. And that is it. I think the horizontal timeline works very nicely this way. It will also work on your tablet. You won't have much problems on the tablet. It displays from left to right, and the same here, and you have the scroll bar function here. But let's have a look at vertical. Now the vertical one is going to give us some challenges. Click on the timeline, and then you choose vertical over here. Now, one of the things I like to do when especially what I did with corporate websites, is when I did vertical, I'll bring in 2 columns. So let's grab here our column element, put it over here. And then what I used to do is I'll do this, and I'll grab my element and I'll drag it there. Okay, so we need to give it a little bit more space. And this is where I say there is something a little bit strange here, something that I will recommend that needs to be fixed for the vertical element. So you can see we have a column here on the column on the left. My problem with this vertical element is all this massive white space that is there on the left. I don't know why it is there. I thought it will flush to the left. Let me see if I can, nope. And nope, there's no alignment for it. So you have all this space on the left. What I usually do is when I created the timeline, I will have this all flushed to the left, and then I will have, maybe the chairman's photo over here, CEO over here, mission statement, vision, and all those kind of things on the right. And then here on the left, we have the history of the company going on. Now, if I click on the icon, the settings you see more or less appears the same. You only have the spacing again, that you can do this. And you have, again, your control over the icons and the backgrounds. Let's delete this column. And the reason I want to do this is that you see the concept behind this timeline is that by default, it appears in the center and it's center aligned. If we go to tablet, be surprised because you can change whether it's horizontal or vertical depending on the device. So again, we click here and then we say we want this one also vertical. Same thing that we had on the desktop and mobile. Let's do the same, click on it, and we put it on vertical. And mobile is the one where I have a little bit of a challenge because of this white space. Now things are a little bit, what I'll do, and I'm having trouble accessing the settings of this element. So what you do is you click on this one until you see the settings and you click escape on your keyboard until you see it opens here, and now you have also the functions here. I will go to the margin to the left and I will reduce it to fit it in. Right, so this is what I would like. Now, again, I want to reiterate the following. What you have here is a brilliant element that comes included within Brizy Pro for the WordPress plugin and the cloud, and it works. It works. I can see a lot of extra functionality being added to this timeline element as time comes, like where you're going to position the text, maybe at the top, at the bottom, maybe some kind of animation as you scroll through this and the line goes on. And I see there is a little snag there, a little line break there. Just go update this, and I want to go and view it on the front end if that is a little glitch within the timeline element. Yep. There is that little glitch over there. I wonder what causes that. Let's go back as well. I want to also look at our width. So go here, and there we go. And you see here now, as I increase the width, there again is that little glitch over there. As I increase the width, we have all this massive white space on the left. And it doesn't really make sense to me at all. I wonder if I type more here. If I type more here, would it expand? The answer is no. If the text at least were to move all the way to the left, I can understand that you add a lot of text here. So this is something that should either be flushed left, and if you need to do anything about that, same thing, go into your settings and then just adjust it here with your negative margin. Not ideal, not the way I would prefer it to be, but the way it is at this moment. I'll log a little GitHub little bug over this line here. It's something that I didn't actually encounter before, but I see it now. And there you go. So that's the timeline element. I'm quite a big lover of the timeline element. Unfortunately, it's one of those things, as much as I love it, I've not used it much lately in designs of websites, because of limitations often with cell phone displays. But I think the fact that you have that control, that you can decide whether you want it horizontal or vertical on various displays, that is quite a big impressive inclusion in the functions, that you can have that responsiveness between vertical and horizontal. This is the Brizy Builder. This is Lynn Brizy, and I'm JP. Hope you have a good day.